I woke up to find myself transmigrated into the role of a beat cop in a trashy melodrama novel. I had just responded to a call at Metropolitan General Hospital when I heard a furious roar coming from a VIP suite. It's just one kidney. Lily, why are you being so difficult? Jessica is your own sister. She'll die without it. All you're losing is a kidney and half your lifespan. Doctors and nurses in the hallway were trembling, none daring to intervene. I looked down at the NYPD badge hanging around my neck, then tapped the handcuffs on my waist. Was there no law and order here? Was the Constitution just a suggestion? Wait, isn't this the kind of major felony case that guarantees a promotion right before the end of the year? Without a second thought, I kicked the door open. Before the billionaire CEO, worth hundreds of billions, could even react, I twisted his arm behind his back and slapped the cold steel cuffs on his wrists. Mr. Damian Cross, I presume? You're under arrest for aggravated assault and illegal trafficking of human organs. You have the right to remain silent. The CEO was stunned. Do you know who I am? I own this entire city. Save it. Get in the squad car. I don't care if you're the president. You're squatting in a cell tonight. Get out. The man in the bespoke Italian suit was handsome, but his face was currently twisted in rage. He pointed a finger at my nose, his voice dripping with the arrogance of someone who had never heard the word no. I flashed my badge, my voice colder than his. Police business. Say that again. The man, Damian Cross, paused. He seemed baffled that anyone on earth dared to speak to him this way. He looked me up and down, his eyes filled with disdain and a hint of curiosity. Police. He scoffed. He reached into his suit pocket, pulled out a checkbook, scribbled a signature, tore it out, and threw it in my face. Here's $1 million. Get lost. The paper fluttered past my cheek and landed on the floor. The surrounding medical staff gasped, their eyes full of fear. I bent down and picked up the check. $1 million. He hadn't even bothered to fill in a recipient. He left it blank for me. What a generous gesture. Damian thought I was intimidated. He lifted his chin higher. Too little? Make it 10 million. Just get out of my sight. I looked at him and smiled. Then, right in front of his face, I tore the check, money that would take a normal person a lifetime to earn, into confetti. Mr. Cross, you're now openly bribing a public official. Add that to the charge sheet. Damian's expression finally changed. You wouldn't dare. I didn't waste another word. With a standard takedown maneuver, I pinned the arm he tried to swing at me behind his back. With a sharp click, the cold handcuffs locked over his $1 million Patek Philippe. Ark! Damian cried out in pain, staring in disbelief at the metal on his wrists. You damn cop! Let me go! On the hospital bed, a pale woman suddenly let out a soft moan, looking like she was about to faint. This was Jessica Sterling, the white moonlight who needed the kidney. Damian immediately roared in distress. Jess, are you okay? Don't scare me. Doctor, get a doctor. I glanced at the monitor next to the bed. The EKG was as steady as a rock, practically mocking her acting skills. Cut the act, I said coldly. Heart rate 80, BP 120/80. You're healthier than I am. Suspected solicitation of crime. You're coming with us too, ma'am, for questioning. Jessica's body stiffened. She cracked one eye open, glaring at me with pure venom. You can't do this to me. I have a terminal illness. Damian looked like his eyes were about to pop out his head. She's sick. You heartless animal. Two bodyguards in black suits appeared out of nowhere, blocking my path, looking menacing. Let our boss go. I shoved Damian forward and barked. Assaulting an officer? Obstruction of justice? Think carefully. That's a mandatory 3-year minimum in state prison. The two hulking men instantly folded. They looked at each other, then shuffled to the side. The entire ward went silent. Everyone was stunned by this sudden turn of events. I turned to look at the girl, still pinned to the mobile surgical gurney. This was Lily Summers. She was wearing a thin hospital gown, her hair a mess, her eyes empty like a doll whose soul had been sucked out. I walked over, took off my NYPD windbreaker, and draped it over her shoulders. Don't be afraid, I said, trying to soften my voice. I'm Officer Jack Carter from the 12th Precinct. As long as I'm here, nobody is taking your kidney. Lily's eyelashes trembled. In her hollow eyes, a tiny spark of light seemed to ignite. She looked up, staring at me blankly. This was the first time anyone had stood up to protect her while she was being bullied by Damian Cross. And he was doing it with a forceful, unreasonable dominance she had never seen before. In the hospital corridor, someone started clapping. The applause grew louder and louder. I escorted the still cursing Damian Cross toward the squad car under the gaze of the crowd. Once in the car, Damian was still ranting. I've memorized your badge number. Tomorrow, I'll make sure you vanish from the force. I slammed the door shut, cutting him off from the outside world. Inside the cruiser, Damien still hadn't grasped reality. I'll give you one last chance. Let me go now, and I can pretend this never happened. He adjusted his rumpled collar, trying to regain his air of superiority. Otherwise, I guarantee you will regret being born. I glanced at him and reached over to tap my body cam. The red light blinked steadily. Mr. Cross, please continue. Under the penal code, threatening a law enforcement officer is a felony. Every word you just said has been recorded and will be used as evidence in court. Damien's voice cut off abruptly. He stared at the small camera lens, his face alternating between green and white. When we got to the precinct and entered the interrogation room, his CEO act hit a wall of steel. He looked at the cold metal bench and frowned. What is this? Is this for dogs? Go get me an Italian leather sofa. Import only. I slammed the case file onto the table. Name, gender, age, social security number. Damien was shaken by my intensity. He instinctively wanted to lash out. Woman, you're playing with fire. He blurted out, only realizing halfway through that something was wrong, and swallowed the rest of the sentence. Oh, right, you're a guy. I looked at him expressionlessly. Damien Cross, don't play games. I ask, you answer. Did you, at 10 a.m. this morning, inside the VIP ward of Metropolitan General, attempt to force Ms. Lily Summers to undergo a kidney transplant surgery? Damien sneered. I didn't force her. She volunteered. Jessica is her sister. Giving a kidney to her sister is simply the right thing to do. I almost laughed at his legal illiteracy. First, under the National Organ Transplant Act, there is no such thing as volunteering when coercion is involved. Any form of live organ trading or coerced donation is a federal crime. Second, according to our investigation, Jessica Sterling and Lily Summers are not legally sisters. They're just two orphans you sponsored. There is no familial obligation. Third, and most importantly, you used violence and threats to force Ms. Summers onto that operating table. That constitutes attempted aggravated mayhem and kidnapping. With the charges stacking up, you better decide now which brand of license plates you want to make in prison. Damien obviously didn't get my joke, but he understood the severity of the situation. His face finally darkened. I want my lawyer. Give me Alan Sharkey, the shark. I'm going to sue you. I'll sue you until you're bankrupt and rotting in jail. I took a calm sip of my coffee. Fine. In a nation of laws, you have the right to an attorney. But let me remind you, when the lawyer gets here, he has to talk law, not money. In the next room, Lily Summers was giving her statement. The officer in charge was a gentle female colleague, patiently guiding her. Through the one-way glass, I could see her thin shoulders trembling. She was crying. Between sobs, she recounted years of imprisonment and abuse by Damien Cross. He wouldn't let her go to school, wouldn't let her make friends, treated her like property. If he was happy, he'd smile. If he was mad, he'd lock her in a dark room. My female colleague's eyes turned red as she listened, constantly handing over tissues. My fist clenched as I listened. I walked back into the interrogation room and added a few more lines to Damien Cross's charge sheet. False imprisonment, domestic battery, torture. Damien looked at the long list of charges and finally felt panic. This is slander. I ignored him and signaled my colleague. Time's up. Take him a holding so he can cool off. Damien was dragged into the temporary holding cell. Inside, there were already a few thugs locked up for a bar fight. Seeing Damien in his designer clothes, the group circled him with unfriendly eyes. Yo, looks like a rich boss dropped in. Hey boss, got any cash to spare? Damien had never seen a scene like this. He backed away in terror. Don't come any closer. Do you know who I am? I'll have you all. Before he could finish his threat, a guy with bleached hair shoved him, slamming him against the wall. That arrogant CEO aura shattered instantly. I watched this on a monitor and shook my head. The law is the best cure for the entitled. I wondered if that ace attorney could actually fish him out. Alan Sharkey, the city's most notorious defense lawyer, arrived. He was wearing a sharp Armani suit, gold-rimmed glasses, and walked with a swagger, trailed by two paralegals. He radiated confidence. The moment he walked in, he got straight to the point. My client, Mr. Damien Cross, has been treated unfairly. I demand his immediate release on bail, and we reserve the right to pursue legal action against the officers involved. His voice was resonant, carrying an undeniable authority. I didn't say a word. I just plugged a USB drive into the computer. The large screen in the interrogation room lit up with high-definition footage. It was the body cam video from the hospital. Damien's line, "It's just one kidney. All you're losing is a kidney and half your lifespan," played out with crystal clarity. Next came the footage of him trying to bribe me with the check. Then, the medical examination report for Lily Summers. The photos were shocking. Old scars layered over new ones, bruises purple and blue. Finally, there was Lily's tearful testimony. He locked me in the basement and didn't give me food for 3 days just because I said hello to a male waiter. He threw my cat off the balcony just because I held the cat longer than I held him. Sharky's expression shifted from supreme confidence to shock, and finally to a heavy gravity. He pushed up his glasses. The look in his eyes was complicated. After watching all the evidence, he remained silent for a full minute. Then, he turned and walked toward the interview room where Damien was held. Mr. Cross, his voice was tired and raspy. This time, we are in a very bad spot. The evidence is solid. The prosecution is extremely well prepared. Even for me, the best I can do is fight for a plea deal with probation. Inside, Damien exploded in rage. Probation? I pay you millions, and you get me probation? What do I pay you for? Useless trash. Sharky's mouth twitched. He held back his words, likely cursing Damien internally, but kept his professional mask. Just then, the sound of weeping drifted from the precinct entrance. Jessica Sterling had arrived. She was wearing a white dress, no makeup, face pale, looking like a strong breeze would knock her over. "Officer, please, I beg you, let Damien go," she cried with the beauty of a tragic heroine. "It's all my fault. I have end-stage uremia. I'm dying." Damien was just desperate. That's why he did something foolish. He just loves me too much. Among the onlookers in the lobby, some people began to waver, whispering to each other. "Oh, so that's it? That's understandable then." "Yeah, he was just trying to save a life." I looked at her, my heart completely unmoved. Still playing this game? I immediately dialed the contact at the city hospital, Dr. Lewis, the head of the ER, and put it on speaker. "Hey doc, need a favor. I've got a lady named Jessica Sterling here, claiming she has end-stage uremia. Any records on her?" On the other end, Dr. Lewis's boisterous voice rang out. "Jessica Sterling? No bell rung. We don't have that name in the chronic kidney disease registry. End-stage? Impossible. If she were that far gone, she wouldn't last 3 days without dialysis. How is she running to a police station? Hold on, let me check today's intake records. Oh, here we go. EKG, blood panel, kidney function. Wow, this girl is as healthy as an ox. Her kidney function is better than mine. Uremia? Please. She probably just spiked her blood sugar from drinking too much bubble tea." Dr. Lewis's loud voice echoed clearly through the entire lobby via speakerphone. The atmosphere instantly became incredibly awkward. Everyone's eyes focused on Jessica. Jessica's face turned the color of raw liver. Her legs went weak, and she prepared to use her old trick, fainting. I spoke up leisurely. "Don't bother fainting. If pinching your philtrum doesn't work, I've got a fresh canister of pepper spray. 1 spritz guarantees you wake up, though it stings a bit." Jessica shuddered and immediately stood up straight, not daring to faint. Standing to the side, Lily Summers watched this farce. Her eyes shifted from initial sorrow to complete disillusionment. The so-called sister, the so-called terminal illness, it was all a lie. Her years of suffering and silence were just a joke. And the man locked up in the interview room was still shouting through the glass. Jess, don't be scared. They wouldn't dare touch you. Jess is frail. You animals can't treat her like this." My head started to throb. Brain damage is also a condition. I suggest you get checked at the psych ward. I waved to the officers at the door. Take Ms. Sterling in for questioning. Suspected fraud and solicitation. I wondered what expression Damien would have when he saw his beloved white moonlight locked up in the holding cell next to him. The incident blew up, and the Cross family's influence finally kicked in. A call went straight to the police chief. Soon, my station commander called me into his office. Commander Lee was a good man, close to retirement, but right now his brow was furrowed deep. "Jack," he offered me a cigarette, which I waved away. "The Cross family called downtown. They're saying this is just a domestic dispute, and we shouldn't blow it out of proportion. They want him released. What do you think?" He rubbed his hands together, looking conflicted. I pulled a dog-eared copy of the penal code from my pocket and slammed it on the desk. "Commander, check section 120. 25, assault in the first degree. Check the statutes on human trafficking. Is carving out a kidney a domestic dispute? This is a violent felony of the highest order." My voice wasn't loud, but every word hit the floor like lead. I wear this badge. Today, I don't care if it's the Cross family or the governor himself calling. I am not releasing this man. Commander Lee looked at the fire in my eyes and paused. He seemed to see a younger version of himself. That fearless grit. He was silent for a moment, then slapped his thigh. "Good. Hell, I'm retiring soon anyway. What do I have to fear? Jack, you go for it. If anything happens, I'll take the heat. Our precinct's Precinct of the Year award depends on this case. My heart warmed. I saluted him. Yes, sir. I won't let you down. Just as I walked out of the commander's office, I saw an old man in a butler's uniform walking in, carrying a massive suitcase, flanked by 2 bodyguards. He walked straight up to me and bowed slightly. Officer Carter, the master sent me to clear up the misunderstanding between Mr. Cross and Ms. Summers. He opened the case. Inside were stacks of neatly arranged, brand new $100 bills. This is $5 million in cash. As long as Ms. Summers agrees to a settlement, this money is hers. Additionally, there's a small token of appreciation for you and your precinct. He smiled with implied meaning. I looked at him, stone-faced. Excellent. I waved my hand, signaling several colleagues. Evidence and witness secured. Attempting to bribe a public official with a substantial amount. Cuff them all. The smile on the butler's face froze. Officer Carter, what is the meaning of this? It means anyone involved with the Cross family isn't going anywhere. At the same time, Lily Summers received a phone call. It was from the Cross family's legal team. Ms. Summers, I advise you to think clearly. If you insist on pressing charges against Mr. Cross, the family has ways to make sure you can't survive in New York or anywhere in the country. Your family, your friends, anyone connected to you will pay the price for your decision today. A naked threat. Lily's face went pale instantly. The hand holding the phone shook violently. She was scared. She was afraid of dragging down the people around her. She instinctively looked at me, her eyes full of helplessness and fear. I walked to her side, blocking the line of sight between her and those hostile stares. My back wasn't massive, but in her eyes, it looked like an immovable mountain. She remembered the suffering of the past years, the despair in the hospital room, and the warmth of the NYPD jacket Jack had draped over her shoulders. A courage she had never felt before surged from her heart. Why? Why could the wrongdoers be so arrogant? Why did the victims have to live in fear? I will not settle. Lily suddenly rushed forward, shouting with all her might at the Cross family lawyers and the butler. I'm pressing charges, not just for the kidney, but for the false imprisonment, the beatings, the abuse, everything. I'm suing him for everything. Her voice echoed through the precinct lobby, sharp and absolute. Inside the interview room, Damian Cross saw this through the glass, his eyes widening in shock. Lily, you've changed, he muttered to himself. You used to be so obedient. I shielded Lily behind me and stared coldly at him. She didn't change. She just realized there's light in this world. Now, Ms. Lily Summers is a key witness under police protection. I pulled out the formal arrest warrant and signed my name. Damian Cross, approved by the district attorney, you are hereby remanded into custody. Take him away. The cold handcuffs clicked again. This time, he was being transferred to central booking and then Rikers Island. As Damian was escorted out by 2 bailiffs, he stopped as he passed me, turning to glare with the venom of a snake. Jack Carter, just you wait. I met his gaze without flinching. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to watch you rot in prison. Life in detention was completely different from what Damian Cross had imagined. There was no soft king-size bed, only a cold steel slab. No prime Wagyu beef, just bland cabbage and stale bread. His first day in, he tried to maintain his world's richest man posture, ordering his cellmate to pour him water. The result was a tattooed giant pressing him into the concrete floor and giving him a thorough education, the physical kind. Only then did he realize that in here, his money and status were worthless. He started a hunger strike, thinking he could use it as leverage. After starving for 24 hours, dizzy and weak, when a hot tray of slop was shoved in front of him, he couldn't hold back. He grabbed it and stuffed it into his mouth, tears streaming down his face. It's so good. When I interrogated him later, he had lost significant weight and all of his previous arrogance. He cried, complaining to me about how terrible the conditions were and how bad the food was. I sipped my coffee and spoke plainly. Mr. Cross, this is a correctional facility, not the Ritz-Carlton. The crimes you committed are enough to earn you a long stay here. Read the inmate handbook and focus on rehabilitation. Damian left, and the precinct quieted down. But a sweet trouble soon came knocking. Lily Summers came by almost every day. Each time, she carried a delicate insulated lunch bag, claiming it was to thank the police force. Officer Carter, I made this myself. Please try it. Today's lunch was sweet and sour ribs, smelling incredible. I was a bit embarrassed, but her enthusiasm was hard to refuse. Ms. Summers, you're too kind. We were just doing our job. I opened the box and shared half with my partner, Officer Miller. Here, Miller, help me out. The victim is very polite. It's too much for one person. Miller gnawed on a rib, winking at me meaningfully. Jack, you're dense. She's not delivering food. She's got eyes for you. I wave my hand, keeping a straight face. Don't talk nonsense. She's a victim. I'm the investigating officer. We have to maintain professionalism and discipline. Besides, I think she wants to apply for a civilian job here and is just trying to network with future colleagues. My voice wasn't loud, but it was just loud enough for Lily, who hadn't walked far, to hear. She stumbled, nearly tripping, a look of amused frustration on her face. Dense. Truly dense. She decided she needed to step up her game. Meanwhile, the Cross family's ace lawyer wasn't idle. He was running around trying to get Damien out on bail. The application landed on my desk. I looked at the justification. First-time offense, low flight risk, no danger to the community. I laughed coldly. I wrote directly on the rejection memo. Suspect Damien Cross is charged with multiple violent felonies. High probability of continued danger to society. Reference. Organ harvesting threats. Significant risk of witness tampering and evidence destruction due to financial resources. Bail opposes public interest. Recommendation. Denied. Bail denied. When Sharky saw my notes, he looked like he was about to have a stroke. Damien, learning he wasn't getting out, fell into despair in his cell. He started memorizing the inmate handbook earnestly and showed up on time for prison labor, his aura undergoing a bizarre transformation. But he thought that was it. The white moonlight he had abandoned wasn't going to let things go so easily. Jessica had been detained for a few days, but due to lack of direct evidence, she was released with a warning. However, without Damien's money, her life plummeted. She went from a socialite surrounded by luxury to being unable to pay rent. She blamed everything on me and Lily. Soon, a trending topic hit Twitter and TikTok. Hashtag police brutality, hashtag corrupt cop protects mistress. Beneath the hashtag was a tearful essay. The author claimed to be Damien Cross's true fiancé, accusing an officer named Jack Carter of abusing his power, using excessive force, and torturing a suspect just to help his side piece, Lily, climb the social ladder. The post included photoshopped images. One showed me looking demonic while pinning Damien down. Another showed Lily and me looking intimate. Jessica even went on Instagram Live, crying tragically, talking about her terminal illness and how she was framed by the homewrecker and the dirty cop. The internet mob ignited instantly. WTF? Is there no justice? Do cops just do whatever they want? What's this Jack Carter's badge number? I'm reporting him. Poor girl. That homewrecker is shameless. Justice for Damien. Fire the dirty cop. Overnight, I became a public enemy. The station's phones were ringing off the hook with complaints and threats. Internal Affairs called to ask questions. Lily was frantic, pacing like a cat on a hot tin roof, clutching her phone. Officer Carter, how can they twist the truth like this? I'm going online to explain. I was calmly brewing tea and stopped her. Don't rush. Let the bullet fly for a moment. The internet isn't a lawless zone. The higher they jump, the harder they fall. I took a slow sip of tea, then called the cybercrimes unit at headquarters. Hey Sarge, need a favor. Trace the IP addresses and funding sources for the bot farm boosting that hashtag. Yeah, the one bashing me. The cyber unit was efficient. 30 minutes later, a detailed report hit my inbox. All evidence pointed to a shell company, and the owner was none other than Jessica Sterling. I smiled. Time to close the net. Using the precinct's official account, I started a live stream. Title: Official Statement Regarding the Police Brutality Allegations. The moment the stream started, hundreds of thousands of viewers flooded in. The chat was filled with hate. I didn't waste breath. I went straight to the evidence. Citizens, hello. Regarding the false accusations online, here is the clarification. First, please watch this video. I projected the raw body cam footage, sensitive parts blurred, onto the screen. Damien's arrogant rant about taking the kidney, the bribery attempt, the bodyguards threatening me. It was all there. Public opinion flipped instantly. Holy crap, just a kidney? Is he human? I take back what I said about the cop. That CEO is a psycho. Officer Jack is a hero. Lock that scum up. That woman in the white dress deserves an Oscar for acting. I presented the second piece of evidence. Second, regarding Ms. Sterling's terminal illness. Here is the medical report from Metropolitan General. As you can see, her vitals are better than most of yours. Finally, regarding the claim that I am protecting a mistress, evidence from cybercrimes shows that Ms. Sterling used a shell company to hire bot farms to spread libel against myself and Ms. Summers. This constitutes disorderly conduct and criminal libel. I looked into the camera, my voice calm but powerful. Furthermore, we have discovered that over the past 3 years, Ms. Sterling used medical expenses as a pretext to defraud Mr. Cross of over $50 million. This constitutes grand larceny and wire fraud. The chat exploded. 50 million? Damn, that's faster than robbing a bank. She treated the show like an ATM. Plot twist of the year. NYPD for the win. I ended the stream, grabbed my team, and an arrest warrant. Time to invite the other protagonist to reunite with her lover in a cell. When I knocked on the door of Jessica's apartment, she was still reveling in the success of her cyberbullying campaign. Seeing me, she tried to scream. What are you doing here? You dirty cop. I flashed the cuffs. Ms. Sterling, you're under arrest for harassment, libel, and grand larceny. Come with us. Mr. Cross is waiting for you in lockup. I don't know what strings the Cross family pulled or how much money they spent, but after 2 weeks, Damian Cross was released on bail. The trial was pending, but he was temporarily free. Walking out of the detention center, breathing the free air, his face 10 pounds lighter and his eyes gloomier, he concocted a new narrative in his head. He decided that Lily hadn't testified against him fully because she still loved him, that she couldn't bear to see him suffer. In reality, it was just the slow pace of the judicial system. Woman, you still love me after all, he concluded, moved by his own delusion. And so, a spectacular winning her back campaign began. The next day, as Lily walked out of her office building, a flashy red Ferrari drifted around the corner and screeched to a halt in front of her. The door opened, and Damian stepped out holding 999 roses, striking a pose he thought was romantic. Lily, enough playing around. Come home with me. He thought Lily would weep tears of joy and throw herself into his arms. Instead, Lily looked at him like she had seen a ghost. Her face went pale, and she turned to run. As she ran, she pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Hello, 911. I need to report a crime. I'm at the entrance of the West Side Tower. Someone is stalking and harassing me. Yes, it's the guy who tried to take my kidney. Please hurry. I am scared. I was eating instant noodles when the dispatch call came through. Hearing it was Lily, I abandoned the noodles and sped to the scene in 3 minutes. I arrived to see Damian grabbing Lily's wrist, refusing to let her go. The roses were trampled into mush on the ground. Damian Cross, what are you doing? Let go. I roared, charging forward. Damian saw me and paused, then sneered with a mix of jealousy and disdain. You again, cop. This is between me and my wife. Stay out of it. I tapped my body cam immediately. First, you are not married. You are not legal spouses. Second, Ms. Summers has explicitly rejected your advances. Your behavior now constitutes stalking in the 3rd degree and harassment. I pointed to the mess on the ground. Third, littering. That's a $200 fine. Damian was stunned by the barrage of statutes. Flustered and angry, he tried to drag Lily toward the car. Lily, let's go. My eyes narrowed. I stepped in, grabbed his wrist, and executed a clean shoulder throw. Damian's 200-pound frame hit the pavement with a heavy thud. Mr. Cross, I must remind you. I looked down at him. While on bail, you must adhere to conditions of release. Committing another offense can result in your bail being revoked and immediate remand. Do you want to come back to the precinct for coffee? Or go straight back to Rikers to make more license plates? Lying on the ground, meeting my cold gaze, Damian finally felt fear. He was hauled back to the precinct again. While booking him, his lawyer arrived. When Alan Sharkey saw his client in cuffs again, for the same stupid reason, he looked like he wanted to jump out a window. He didn't even bother arguing this time. He just paid the fine and let a disheveled Damian away. Before leaving, he whispered gravely to Damian, Mr. Cross, I am begging you. Lay low. Please. After striking out twice, Damian finally realized Lily truly didn't want him. He couldn't understand it. Until one day, a private investigator he hired snapped a photo. In the photo, Lily was looking up at me with eyes full of admiration, handing me a bottle of water. I was looking down, saying something to her, a faint smile on my lips. Actually, I was explaining the latest anti-fraud protocols. The flames of jealousy consumed Damian. He understood now. It wasn't that Lily didn't love anymore. She had moved on. She fell for that damn cop. Damian's ego took a massive hit. He, the CEO of Cross Industries, a master of the global economy, losing to a broke police officer. Unforgivable. He decided to target me. If force didn't work, he'd use money. In his world, there was no problem money couldn't solve. If there was, it just meant you didn't use enough. He invited me to meet at a high-end private club. I took the call, thought about it, and went. Of course, wearing a wire and body cam. In the private room, Damian sat on a sofa. On the table in front of him lay a black card. Officer Carter, name your price. He looked triumphant. Leave Lily Summers and drop all charges against me. This card has no limit. The money inside is enough for you and your family to live like kings for generations. I picked up the legendary black card, weighing it in my hand. Mr. Cross, do you know what you're doing right now? Damien thought I was haggling and laughed scornfully. I know. A transaction. I shook my head. No. Under federal law and state penal codes, this is bribery of a public servant. Since the amount is significant, it's a Class C felony. Minimum 5 years, up to 15. I pointed the camera at him and the card. Guess if this amount qualifies for the maximum sentence? Damien's face froze. Are you stupid? You don't want money. He couldn't believe his ears. I slammed the card back on the table. My integrity is not for sale. And let me reiterate, Lily Summers is an independent, whole human being. She is not a piece of merchandise to be traded. Respect her, and respect yourself. You. Damien was humiliated and furious, shaking with rage. Just then, a soft sob came from behind the room's divider. Lily walked out, eyes red. She had heard everything. She hadn't trusted me to meet him alone, so she had followed me. Seeing her, Damien grew even angrier. Great. You two conspired to set me up. He pointed at me, then at Lily. Jack Carter, you will regret this. And you, Lily, you traitor. He stormed out. I picked up the black card, bagged it as evidence for internal affairs and the district attorney, and formally requested a task force to investigate the funding sources of Cross Industries. Lily looked at me, stars in her eyes. She couldn't hold back anymore. She rushed over and hugged me from behind. Officer Carter, I like you. The girl's soft body and warm breath made me freeze instantly. In my 25 years, I'd never been confessed to, let alone this directly. My face turned beet red uncontrollably. I stammered, my mind blank. Ms. Summers, please calm down. Wait, fraternizing with a witness. Wait, no, interfering with a marriage. No, wait, I'm single. Let's just file the report first. The investigation into Cross Industries yielded results quickly. The Economic Crimes Unit found that beneath the glossy surface, the company was riddled with tax evasion and money laundering. With solid evidence, the court issued an asset freeze. Damien Cross snapped. His money power, which he was so proud of, had completely failed in this nation of laws he so despised. His company was finished. He was facing life in prison. In despair, he chose the stupidest, most insane path. Desperate measures. He was going to kidnap Lily and force my hand. That day, I was working late at the precinct on an urgent case. Lily texted me, saying she was home. I replied, stay safe, and went back to my paperwork. By the time I finished, it was 11:00 p.m. I habitually went to text Lily goodnight, but realized she hadn't replied to my last message. A bad feeling hit me. I called her, straight to voicemail. My heart dropped. I immediately pulled the surveillance feed from her apartment complex. The footage showed her arriving at the gate around 9:30 p.m., but she never made it inside. Two men dragged her into a black van. My pupils constricted. I immediately activated the tracking on the anti-fraud app one had installed on her phone. It had a hidden GPS feature. The red dot was blinking at an abandoned cement factory on the outskirts of the city. Almost simultaneously, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. It was Damien's cold voice. Jack Carter, I have your woman. If you want her alive, come to the Southside Cement Factory. Alone. No cops. No guns. Or you can come collect her body. I listened to the phone, a cold sneer forming on my face. What year is this? Still playing these cliches from bad cop movies? Does he think police are idiots? While keeping him on the line to stall, Damien, calm down. It's not too late to turn back. Kidnapping is a federal crime. I used my burner phone to text the SWAT commander. Courts, Southside Cement Factory. Suspect, Damien Cross. Hostage, Lily Summers. Suspect volatile, armed. Request SWAT immediate deployment. Inside the gloomy, damp factory, Damien held a knife to Lily's pale cheek. He was raving mad. See, Lily? He doesn't dare to come. To him, that badge is more important than you. In this world, only I truly love you. To his surprise, though fear showed on Lily's face, her eyes were unusually steady. You're wrong. She looked at Damien and spoke clearly. Officer Carter is definitely coming to save me. He told me, if you're in danger, don't panic. Trust the system, trust the police. Just then, the wail of sirens pierced the air, growing louder by the second, followed immediately by the heavy thumping of a helicopter rotor. Beams of blinding light cut through the factory windows from all directions, turning night into day. I stood on top of an armored Bearcat vehicle, holding a megaphone, my voice booming through the facility. Listen up in there. Damian Cross, you are surrounded. Drop your weapon and release the hostage immediately. I repeat, drop the weapon and release the hostage. Surrender now for leniency. Damian looked at the sea of red and blue flashing lights outside, heard the chopper overhead, and completely broke down. What? He screamed hysterically. Why is this happening? This isn't how the script goes. You're supposed to come in alone. You're supposed to kneel and beg me for your woman. Then I humiliate you and kill you. How did the cops get here so fast? I watched him through a sniper's scope, cold and detached. Idiot. Going in alone is for movies. In reality, we call that cowboying, and it gets you suspended. We believe in teamwork and overwhelming firepower superiority. I spoke calmly into my headset. Sniper 1, 2, target acquired. Green light on my mark. Breach Team Alpha, Bravo, set charges on east and west entries. On my command. 3, 2, 1, execute. Seeing this, Damian went fully berserk. He grabbed Lily, intending to use her as a human shield for a final stand. Stay back, or I'll kill her. Just as his knife moved toward Lily's throat, she suddenly dropped her weight, ducking down, and kicked backward with everything she had, aiming right between his legs. It was the simplest, most effective move I taught her in self-defense class. Ugh, Damian let out a sound that didn't sound human, doubling over in agony. Almost instantly, boom, boom. 2 windows shattered as SWAT teams breached. Flashbangs rolled in. The blinding white light and deafening bang incapacitated Damian instantly. Wearing full tactical gear, I was the first one in. I executed a perfect takedown, pinning the writhing Damian to the concrete floor. Cold handcuffs locked onto his wrists for the third and final time. Damian Cross. Kidnapping, attempted murder, RICO violations. I leaned close to his ear and whispered so only he could hear. Congratulations. You're never seeing the sun again. Crisis averted. Lily couldn't hold on any longer. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing uncontrollably. This time, I didn't push her away. I gently patted her back, letting her tears soak my tactical vest. It's okay. It's over. Damian was hooded and dragged out. He was still screaming in denial. I am a protagonist. I am a master of this world. Let me go. The script is wrong. I frowned and turned to a colleague. Before booking him, get a psych eval. Guy's read too many bad novels. Scene secured. Everyone's safe. I looked at Lily, crying like a child in my arms, and felt the hardest part of my heart soften. The courtroom was solemn. As the key witness, I sat in the stand, wearing my dress uniform. The gallery was packed with press. After months of trial, Damian Cross's case finally reached a verdict. The defendant, Damian Cross, is found guilty of kidnapping, attempted murder, organ trafficking, bribery, tax evasion, money laundering. Sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Asset forfeiture granted. The gavel banged. Final. Damian slumped in his chair, face gray as ash. His white moonlight, Jessica Sterling, was sentenced to 15 years for fraud, conspiracy, and libel. The once mighty Cross Industries declared bankruptcy and was seized by the federal government. The era of the untouchable CEO was over. Outside the courthouse, I was swarmed by reporters. Officer Carter, when facing the threats and bribes of a billionaire, were you ever tempted or afraid? A reporter asked, shoving a microphone in my face. I looked at the camera, adjusted my collar, and spoke clearly. On American soil, before the Constitution and the law, there are no billionaires. Only citizens and criminals. My duty is to bring criminals to justice, no matter who they are. That interview went viral. I became the cop of the year, receiving endless letters of thanks. Lily Summers started her new life. She sold every luxury item Damian had ever given her and donated the proceeds to a new nonprofit, the Anti-Abuse Foundation. She cut her hair short, started wearing sharp business casual, and the fear in her eyes was replaced by confidence. And due to my performance, I received a Medal of Valor and a promotion to sergeant at the 12th Precinct. Commander Lee slapped my shoulder, grinning ear to ear. Jack, you got a bright future. He winked and nodded toward the door. Case closed, promotion secured. Is it time to solve your personal case? I followed his gaze. Lily was standing in the sunlight outside the precinct, smiling at me. My face heated up again. Lily didn't become a civilian employee. She passed her exams and became a social worker, so we became colleagues in a broader sense. We started dating, though our dates were unique. First date, shooting range. I taught her stance, grip, and trigger control. Second date, a lecture on the new penal code amendments at the police academy. Lily took notes while whispering, Jack, Who goes to a law lecture for a date? I kept a straight face. It's romantic. Knowledge is power. The law is the foundation of our future. She laughed, but listened through the whole thing. Once we were walking down the street and saw a purse snatcher. Before I could move, Lily sprinted ahead. With a beautiful takedown, she pinned the thief to the ground. Her form was so perfect, I wanted to applaud. I cuffed the guy and looked at her in surprise. Not bad, Summers. Nice moves. Lily lifted her chin proudly. Well, you are what you eat. Or who you date. We walked home holding hands under the sunset. I looked at her profile, lit by the evening glow, and my heart hammered in my chest. I stopped, took a deep breath, and finally gathered the courage to say what I'd been holding back. Lily, yeah, after careful consideration by me personally, I've decided to assign you a long-term undercover assignment. What assignment? From now on, your personal safety is under my exclusive jurisdiction. Your remaining years are officially within my precinct. Do you accept? Lily paused, then broke into a radiant smile. Reporting for duty, Sergeant Carter. I accept. Far away, behind high prison walls, Damian Cross was sweating over a license plate press. I looked at the laughing girl beside me and felt a deep peace. Even though I ended up in a crazy melodrama, as long as you carry the law in your heart, justice prevails anywhere. Just then, my radio crackled. It was a dispatch call. Sergeant Carter, we have a 10 to 15 at the financial district. Some guy is throwing money from a helicopter to propose. It's causing massive gridlock and a public disturbance. I chuckled. The legal illiterates in this world really are endless. I squeezed Lily's hand, my eyes sharpening. Let's go, partner. Roll out. Let's go teach them what law and order means. Story complete.